Chapter 5. Into the Shadows. As the sun began to set, sending golden rays through the trees, they finished their conversation. James turned to Anna, his expression serious. "Anna, your home is not safe for now," he explained firmly. "I will take you somewhere we can be out of the police's reach." Anna reflected on his words, the weight of the day's events pressing heavily on her shoulders. "But what about my grandma? She's all alone. She is the only family I have." Anna's voice trembled with concern. That was also evident in her eyes. James placed a warm hand on her shoulder, his gaze supportive and sincere. "Your grandma is going to be okay. I've arranged for someone to keep an eye on her. Right now, you need to focus on your own safety." Reluctantly, she allowed herself to be led back to the motorcycle. The sun had completely dipped below the horizon. A wave of chill spread through the air, and darkness began to settle in. The highway lights flickered to life. Anna wrapped her arms around James, pressing close against him as the engine once again roared to life. They sped through the landscape, the wind whipping by. She tried to push aside her worries, focusing instead on the rhythm of the ride and the man guiding them through the night. Despite everything, there was a strange sense of freedom in the ride, the thrill of the unknown mingling with excitement. The landscape began to change again. They took one of the highway's exits. The road soon narrowed, winding through the countryside. Anna watched as the surroundings grew darker and more foreboding. A few moments later, they arrived at an abandoned village, a place that seemed to have been swallowed by the relentless passage of time. It gave Anna a creepy feeling. The houses around them stood like hollowed-out shells, their roofs sagging and walls splintered, as if their very bones were giving up the fight against decay. Fences leaned at various precarious angles, their wood mottled with rot and moss. The remnants were engulfed in creeping vines that slithered up the failing structures like some exotic snakes. The air was ripe with the cloying scent of mould, and something far more unsettling, like the vestiges of things long dead and forgotten. An oppressive silence blanketed the village, so profoundly that even the faintest rustle of leaves sounded like hushed warnings, as if uttered by something sinister, hiding just out of sight. Every creak and groan of the old wood felt deliberate, like the village itself was alive, watching the newcomers, holding its breath in anticipation. The atmosphere was suffocating, charged with an eerie stillness that made the hair on the back of Anna's neck stand on end. It was as if the very ground beneath her was steeped chock full of secrets, each one darker than the last, and she couldn't shake the feeling that something twisted was lurking, just beyond the veil of her vision, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. Anna shivered, not from the cold, but from the overwhelming sense of desolation. They drove slowly through the village, the sound of the motorcycle's engine echoing off the dilapidated buildings. Finally, they reached a small, rusty hangar with a partially collapsed roof. The building looked no different from the others, a relic of a forgotten past barely standing upright. James took off his helmet, turned off the engine, and got off the bike, helping Anna to her feet. She looked at him questioningly. "This way." He pointed to the entrance. Anna followed him into the hangar and was immediately hit by the stale, musty air that clung to the back of her throat in a thick, scratchy essence. The vast space was only lit by the light from the full moon seeping through the cracks in the rusted, corrugated metal walls and filtering down through gaps in the partially collapsed roof. This light created jagged beams that sliced through the dust-filled air, casting eerie patterns across the floor strewn with litter, old tools, chaotic piles of broken glass, crumpled papers, and decaying remnants of what once might have been machinery, crunching noisily under their feet with every step, peeking out of the gloomy patches. Rusted beams sagging under their own weight, chains hanging from the ceiling, swaying slightly in the stagnant air, and old, faded signs barely legible through layers of grime completed the ensemble. Then, suddenly, the worn and dusty floor at the hangar's centre right before them began to shift and open, noiselessly spreading with a smooth, mechanical precision that starkly contrasted with the decay and abandon surrounding them. The opening widened some more, revealing a hidden passage beneath, wide enough for a car to pass through. The sight was surreal and shocking. James turned back to look at Anna, his face half illuminated by the soft moonlight filtering through the roof. He winked at her, a playful glint in his eyes, and a hint of a smile tugging at his lips. "Welcome to our hideout," he declared proudly, nodding toward the yawning passage below, the smile on his face underscoring the cleverness of the concealed entrance. The contrast between the decrepit surroundings and the sophisticated hidden passage left Anna both amazed and intrigued, as if stepping into a world where the line between ruin and ingenuity was deliberately blurred. Her heart pounded as they descended, the low light coming from scarce, elongated sconces on the walls was scarcely enough to illuminate their path. They reached a fairly big, open, cavernous space, below where a couple of cars were already parked. The air here was cool and dry, a refreshing change from the stale and musty air of the village. James returned and parked his motorcycle inside. Then he walked over to Anna. "Follow me," he offered, and wasting no time, he led the way towards a set of sliding doors in the far right corner. It looked like something straight out of some action movie, with its sleek design and a laser scanner mounted on the wall right beside it. James first swiped his index finger on the scanner, and then slightly bent down to level his eyes with the small window in the centre. Shortly after, they heard a soft ding. Indicators on the scanner turned green, and the doors slid open without making a sound. As the door spread, Anna took notice of how thick they were. It felt like they were entering a bank's vault. Immediately inside, the setup changed drastically. The interior was surprisingly cosy and inviting. The hallway stretched before them, an unexpected blend of warmth and home-like feeling that felt worlds apart from the industrial atmosphere they had just left behind. A soft greenish runner carpeted the floor, its colour muted and soothing. Newspaper clippings, photographs, letters adorned the eggshell-coloured walls, their edges meticulously framed in dark wood, probably showcasing important memories or some significant events in the life of the inhabitants of this strange underground structure. Intricate lighting fixtures hung overhead. A golden glow bathed the hallway in a welcoming, almost nostalgic light. A few doors punctuated the hallway on either side, their rich, polished surfaces gleaming in the light, reflecting the hallway's warmth. Each door was unique, some adorned with brass handles, others with simple nameplates that hinted at the people occupying the space and their titles. The atmosphere was a striking contrast to the gritty passage they had come through. It was as if they had crossed a threshold from a forgotten world into a place carefully tended and revered, where every detail had a purpose. Anna stared at her surroundings with a mix of awe and trepidation. To see something like this was yet another shock for her, although not unpleasant at all. The place seemed secure, personable, and something about it told her that whoever lived here were good people. She also noticed a scent of fresh paint and wood polish, a testament to the care taken to maintain the place. "What's all this?" she exclaimed involuntarily, and halted, taking in the interior's details. "This is your home now, specifically the section with main offices and living quarters. There is more to this place, other entrances, more levels and sections, but all this you will see in due time," James readily explained, his voice echoing softly in the hallway. "It might be hard to get used to it at first, but it's safe and it's home." They passed several doors before reaching the one at the end of the corridor. Inside, they found a meeting room. Anna tentatively peeked inside, taking in the peculiar yet oddly comforting atmosphere within. The walls were lined with bookshelves that were a jumble of old, leather-bound volumes and modern equipment, creating a curious blend of antiquity and technology. The room was compact, but well-furnished, with a large, richly polished redwood table that dominated the space. Around the table, a few men were engaged in a heated discussion that was partially disrupted, but not entirely stopped by the appearance of the newcomers. The large overhead lamp with a fringed green fabric shade provided a downcast light over the scene, accentuating the men's features with dramatic effect. There was noticeable tension in the room, and it seemed to pulse, spreading in waves from the gathered men. The laptops and scattered papers on the table added to the sense of importance and focus, the whole atmosphere casting a cocoon of intense concentration around the group. One of the men looked up as they entered, his dark eyes sharp and assessing. He stood up, showing a stocky build and a commanding presence. He was dressed quite plainly in jeans and an old grey t-shirt. "Sonny," James turned to him, addressing the man. "This is Anna." Sonny stepped forward, extending his hand in greeting. "Welcome, Anna. I'm Sonny, the head of this hideout." His grip was firm, his eyes revealing a hint of curiosity. "Nice to meet you," Anna replied, uncertain and careful. She felt compelled to curtsy for some reason. Sonny turned and dismissed the rest of the men from the room with one short command. Once they were alone, he gestured for Anna and James to take a seat. "I've just ordered some late dinner for all of us," he informed, his tone matter-of-fact. "Nothing fancy, but it's been a long day, and we have a lot to discuss." Anna watched him, her mind too tired to be surprised. She felt a strange sense of calm wash over her, the day's events catching up to her in a rush. Her stomach rumbled when the scent of pizza filled the air, as a tidy older secretary walked in, carrying a tray with food, plates, and some soda. "Thank you," Anna murmured appreciatively, her mouth watering at the sight of the nourishment. Sonny moved papers and equipment on the table out of the way, making space for the meal. "Let's eat first," he suggested, his tone gentle. "You need your strength." As Anna and James dug into their generously cut slices, Sonny leaned back in his chair, taking off his glasses and rubbing his eyes tiredly. He watched them for a moment before speaking. "Anna, I'm truly sorry for what happened to Charlie, Sonny began, his voice filled with sorrow and sincere notes. He was a valuable member of our organization. His death was a great loss for us that is hard to overestimate. Anna looked up at him, swallowing a bite of pizza. What exactly is this organization? She asked, her curiosity piqued despite her exhaustion. James did give me some general information, but I would love to know more. Sonny's expression grew serious. We are part of a secret undercover group dedicated to fighting a large international coalition that secretly rules the world above any government. As a matter of fact, government officials are nothing but puppets in their hands. This coalition has developed something that could put a lot of innocent people in danger or even kill them. Anna's jaw slightly dropped, and she forgot altogether about the food in her hands. What do you mean? What have they developed? Sonny shook his head and spread his arms regretfully. I can't disclose all the details until you decide whether you want to join us. That is for your own safety, too. I hope you understand. But I can tell you this. They orchestrated Charlie's murder and framed you to cover their tracks. The police chief and Detective Mason are in their pocket. Anna's mind reeled. But why me? Why did they... Her voice trailed off, unable to finish the question. The people behind Charlie's murder needed a scapegoat, and you were convenient, Sonny explained, his tone grim, face a mask of disapproval. The detective and the police chief were instructed to place the blame on you to cover their tracks. They will not leave you alone now. Anna felt a rising surge of anger. So they just want to throw me in prison for a crime I did not commit, so they get to keep their secrets? Exactly. Your involvement was orchestrated to divert attention from their true activities. So what should I do now? Sonny leaned forward, his gaze intense. You have two options, Anna. You can go hiding and live the rest of your life looking over your shoulder, worse yet, spend your life in prison. Or you can join us and fight back against this coalition. They won't stop coming after you, not after everything that has happened today. Anna quietly pondered the implications of Sonny's words. She thought about Charlie, about the injustice she had faced, and about the people who had turned her life upside down. She couldn't just walk away, not when so much was at stake. But why me? She queried tiredly. Why was I the one they framed? Sonny's expression softened. Wrong place, wrong time. Unfortunately, it all boils down to this. Anna's eyes filled with tears, the weight of it all nearly driving her to the edge of insanity. She took a deep breath, forcing herself to stay composed. And what exactly would I be doing if I joined you? You would be trained, just like the rest of us, Sonny explained. We need people with courage and determination. Our mission is to expose and dismantle this coalition. They operate in the shadows, pulling strings from behind the scenes. We aim to bring their actions into the light and put an end to their control. The older secretary, Margaret, returned with another full tray, setting down a fresh pot of coffee and some pastries. Thought you might need these too, she said, looking down at them with a kind smile. Thank you, Margaret. Sonny smiled back, pouring himself a cup of coffee. He took a sip, then leaned back in his chair. Anna, there's something else you should know. The coalition has a vast network of operatives. They infiltrate governments, corporations, and even law enforcement agencies. They have eyes and ears everywhere. Anna felt a chill run down her spine. But We have our own network, and we're growing stronger every day. People are starting to see the cracks in their facade. They're beginning to question the reality they've been presented with. We are fighting back successfully, and soon we will expose and destroy them." James, who had been quietly listening, added, "Anna, I know this is a lot to take in, but what Sonny is saying here is you're not alone. We'll be with you every step of the way. You have the strength to do this. Trust me." Anna looked at the man, feeling a surge of gratitude. "Oh, thank you," she muttered softly. "I don't know what I would do without you." "You don't have to face this alone." He covered her hand with his, sending a warm wave up her spine. Anna struggled to keep her concentration, but she felt an overwhelming exhaustion slowly taking over her. Sonny and James noticed her fatigue immediately. James jumped to his feet and gently helped her to get up. "Come on, you need to rest. This is enough for today," he urged, gently guiding her towards the exit. They walked again through the long, empty corridors. James led her to a door near the opposite end of the hallway, opening it to reveal a cosy, well-appointed room. The bed looked inviting, with soft linens and a thick comforter all ready for the new guest. A small writing desk stood in the corner, with a plain wooden chair next to it. The decor was similar to the rest of the bunker, with a hint of military efficiency. But this room had a few personal touches that made it feel more like home. A set of books, some cosy clothing, pleasantly appointed throw pillows in pastel hues lightened the mood of the space. James briefly showed her around, explaining where to find everything she might need. "This will be your room. It's not much, but it's comfortable and has everything you need. Get some rest, Anna. Tomorrow is a new beginning. Have a good night." Anna turned her sleepy eyes to him and smiled gratefully, her exhaustion catching up more and more with her. "Thank you, James, for everything." James returned her smile, his kind eyes lingering on her a bit longer. "Sleep tight. We'll see you in the morning." As the door closed behind him, Anna let out a long breath. This turbulent, eventful day was finally behind her. She changed into soft pyjamas laid out on the bed and slipped under the covers. The weight of the blankets embraced her weary body in a soft, pleasant hug. Her mind buzzed with 1,000 thoughts, still striving to process everything that happened. But exhaustion quickly overtook her, and she fell into a deep, dreamless sleep. Sonny watched James and Anna leave the room, a thoughtful expression on his face. He knew that Anna's decision would be crucial to their mission. The forces they were up against were powerful and ruthless, and they needed every ally they could get. As the door closed behind them, Sonny turned back to the table, his mind already shifting back to the details of their next operation. The documents spread out before him contained plans, maps, and intelligence reports. He knew the risks they faced, but he also knew the importance of their work. He picked up a file, flipping through its contents. The international coalition they were fighting had their tentacles in every corner of the globe. They manipulated governments, controlled economies, and silenced anyone who dared to oppose them. Sonny's organization was one of the few standing against them, a small but determined force to reckon with. He sighed, rubbing his temples. The weight of leadership at times seemed to be too much for one man. but he bore it with honour and dignity. He couldn't afford to show weakness, not when so many lives depended on their success. The door to the meeting room opened, and the older woman who had brought the refreshments earlier entered gingerly. She gave Sonny a sympathetic smile. "You should get some rest too, Sonny. You've been up for days." Sonny shook his head. "I can't afford to rest now, Margaret. There's too much at stake." Margaret tilted her head to the side, her eyes filled with care and understanding. "Just don't forget to think of yourself sometimes. We all need you." "I know. Thank you, Margaret." As she left the room, Sonny returned his attention to the documents. The mission ahead was daunting, but he was determined to see it through. For Charlie, for Anna, and for all the innocent lives at risk, he would fight the monsters with everything he had.
Thank you so much for listening. If this chapter meant something to you, please like the video, follow the channel, and leave a comment. I'd really love to hear your thoughts. The link to the next chapter is waiting in the description.